Tashile, welcome to the Awam Tibetan Buddhist Institute and our class today on Tibetan Buddhism. We are on number 25, excuse me. And so please, if you are watching online, that you would remove the audio or close off the audio so we don't get feedback going on. So let us begin first by taking a deep breath in slowly, back out again, just calming your mind and body into profound peace. And then a short refuge prayer. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent for the benefit of all sentient beings. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent for the benefit of all sentient beings. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent for the benefit of all sentient beings. So last week, we began to examine the view, including the pointing out instructions for the Dzogchen and the nature of mind as a part of that, the action meditation, and also looked at a brief summary at Korde Rushin, the preliminary practices for Dzogchen. And we also then began the core teaching of Trekcho, looking at particularly the three statements of Garib Dorje. So today we continue in chapter 18 and on page 296, if you're following along in the book, with a four-part view of Trekcho. The number one is advanced shamata, number two, advanced vipassana, number three, one taste, and number four, non-meditation, sometimes referred to as the indirect approach. So the indirect approach may have been derived from the nearly identical teachings of Mahamudra. They're very, very same, nuanced differences, but very, very similar. And then that uses essentially the same four-step model. But Padmasambhava has included several forms of shamatha and vipassana in his instructions. So I've opted to include his instructions here. And the advanced shamatha and vipassana of the great perfection are somewhat different than when introduced in the path of individual liberation, the last time that we looked at these. So here is a very concise summary of this. The first one is the basic idea using the single-pointed calm abiding to shift from an object, as was done before, to no object. So instead of focusing our attention on a particular thing, in this case, we don't focus on a particular thing. So it's shamatha without signs or without support, it's sometimes referred to. The second one is the focus of vipassana. And so here, it's also different. The nature of mind itself is the focus. And then number three is the one taste phase. These are done alternately between 1 and 2 until you arrive at the union of the two of those together as a state of one taste. And then number 4, at that point, you integrate the practice into daily life, such as there is no separation from meditation on the cushion and life off of the cushion. Okay. And that's part of the goal that the Buddha himself set up originally as well, is that we need to embody these kinds of practices continuously. Perhaps a more accurate term would be everything is meditation. Everything is illusory when we don't realize the true nature as the lack of permanent or independent qualities, such as emptiness. So now we turn to the advanced shamata practice, the first of those 4 steps, following Padmasambhava's instructions on Trekcho. So as noted, one approach to teaching Trekcho is to begin with shamata, calm abiding. In the path of individual liberation, the goal of shamata is no thoughts at all. You see the 9 stages of shamata in chapter 6 that we did before. Nevertheless, Trekcho is a form of single-pointed calm abiding. The definition of shamata, this is an advanced form of that single-pointed calm abiding. So previously, you focused attention on an object of some sort, real or imagined. Even the Yidam practices are a form of shamatha in that sense. We're imagining that as we focus on it. There are or is no object of focus here. It is sometimes referred to as shamatha without signs, without objects, if you will, versus the previous shamatha with signs, and the first of the 4 jhanas. The first of the 4 jhanas we talked about a little bit before, which is focused on an object as well. And then as similar to the 4 formless absorptions, or the higher jhanas of infinite space, infinite consciousness, infinite nothingness, and infinite neither perception nor non-perception. So in this phase, there are no longer any visualizations. So we're not trying to visualize or look at or anything like that. You are no longer focused on anything other than being aware itself. Rigpa, or pure awareness. The ability to be aware, if you will. Resting non-conceptually without thoughts. However, the stillness of advanced shamatha does not require that you never experience any thoughts. If thoughts do arise, you simply let them self-liberate rather than trying to block them or otherwise eliminate them. So notice that no thought stays forever. They arise, they abide, and they dissolve just naturally. So just do not grasp or get attached to the thoughts that do arise. Unlike before, here they are considered as natural manifestations of our mind. We simply recognize them and let them go, remaining focused on awareness itself. If you lose your focus, which is easy to do, especially in the beginning, recognize it and return to it. As soon as you're aware of that, just go right back to it. In his Notes on Mahamudra, Pema Karpo states, recognizing thinking within stillness and seizing the natural seat of stillness within the occurrence of thoughts is therefore called intermingling stillness and occurrence. And hence, it also is called recognition of one-pointedness. Okay? So we recognize it, and then we lose it, and then we recognize it over and over again until it becomes a habit. Another way to think of it is as a foreground and background of your mind. What is in the foreground is our focus, but we can multitask and be aware of something else at the same time in the background. The goal here is to keep awareness itself in the foreground and let thoughts of other forms of consciousness arise and abide in the background. Now, it's not always easy, even for people who have our very advanced level of practice. You get involved in conversation with somebody and you start paying attention to it, and then it goes into the background and the conversation is in the foreground. But as soon as we recognize that, then we reverse that. So once you develop some skill at this, you're able to talk, work, or engage in a wide variety of activities while maintaining your focus on pure awareness. Remember, awareness does not mean being aware of something. It is simply awareness itself. As an analogy, it may help to think of the difference between potential and kinetic energy. Potential energy has a potential to act, but it is not the process of action. Kinetic energy is the action form, something in motion. So I brought a little rock here to illustrate this. So the rock here is static. So it is in that state where it has potential energy. If I get it up here a little bit, maybe the other way, and drop it, okay, that's the kinetic energy, the action of that. And so you have both of those kind of elements that go on. So if I hold it in my fingers, it's the potential energy. If I drop it, it's the kinetic energy. So also itself is like, awareness itself is like potential energy. It is not yet aware of something, but it has the potential to do that. It is a blank slate before images, sounds, thoughts, and so forth arise. To be aware of something is like kinetic energy. We become conscious of that something. The focus of this meditation and great perfection, Trekcho generally, is awareness itself, often referred to as pure awareness or Rigpa. As in other forms of meditation, we are advised to avoid grasping onto any joy, clarity, or even non-conceptuality that arises. This is a hindrance. And once one of these things comes up, that's a concept, and we get locked into that. And so let go and let be. The eventually remaining awareness is your innate Buddha nature, Tathagata Garbha, the essential, or the essence of the Buddha's space-like awareness, or Rigpa. One of my teachers, His Eminence Khenchen Rinpoche, describes it this way: the nature of mind cannot be described. It is like space. Milarepa said, when there is no difference between space and mind, that is the perfected Dharmakaya. The empty space-like essence is the quality of Dharmakaya. There is a vivid, clear awareness that knows its empty space-like essence. The nature of clarity is emptiness, and the nature of emptiness is clarity. They are not separate. They are non-distinct. They are the union of clarity and emptiness. So abide in clear awareness. I'm going to skip the part in the book here dealing with the 9-round breathing. It's an alternate view, and we had that before, so you can read through that, and you should be able to get that on your own quite fine. And let's move on then to the advanced shamata without signs. This is the practice here. Advanced shamata involves focus on awareness, not considered to be an object of focus, at least here, by shifting our focus within space. It can be easy to get attached to space as an object. By shifting our focus, you begin to let go of that attachment and let it be as it is. As you look from point to point, you are also monitoring your focus. Earlier in the book, I talked about this as mindfulness, your focus, and awareness, monitoring your focus. The process is called metacognition, or thinking about thinking, if you will. Here it is applied to your awareness without an object of focus, pure awareness itself. To facilitate this process, you alternate between your focus on space and monitoring your focus on space. Okay, so back and forth between these two. This helps make the difference very clear. So you go from one to the other, back and forth. So this is important for effective Trekcho meditation. So this is practice number 41 in the text, the advanced shamata without signs. So it covers the traditional parts of practice, intention, nundro, and 9-round breathing. And then the core of it deals with shamata without signs. From stillness of body, speech, and mind, gaze into space, looking up, outdoors, or perhaps through a large window, without meditating on anything at all. So into the sky, not looking at a specific object. Alternate between focus and monitoring your focus. Then continue to practice while gazing down, alternating between concentration and monitoring your concentration. And then finally, by gazing up, then right, left, and then down, alternating between concentration and monitoring. Not too fast and not too slow. So let's try that right now. And I realize everything is kind of backwards here. So, but we start with gazing up. And then we go to the right. This is my right. To the left. And down. And then we'll just repeat it. Up, right, left, down. Up, right, left, down. Not that fast. Do it nice and slowly. Concentrate on exactly what you are doing as a part of that. And then there is in the practice itself a little dedication at the end. And in terms of post-meditation, it talks about bringing to a close by arising gently and abiding softly and deeply in pure naked awareness at all times. So trying to learn to make that our experience of life continuously, in addition to everything else that's going on. But this is the most important one. So we're engaged in other activities, but we're still in this state of mindfulness. So then we go on to the next one, which is advanced shamata, the meditative stabilization. Here, the first step in the process involves two parts: awareness of awareness and the practice of threefold space. So the first part of the first step, careful here about the language we're using, refers to a subtle grasping that tends to occur when we focus on awareness. By grasping at the idea of awareness, we become attached to it. So we need to be careful about that. It just becomes another obstacle, albeit a subtle one. It is important to recognize this process so that you do not succumb to it. That is the first part of this meditation. The second part, then, is the second part of the first step, refers to the threefold process for actualizing Dharmakaya, involving meditation on three different levels. The first level is external space, the space outside of us. Internal space, in our mind, our consciousness, and then secret space. So the first step of the external space is a focus on the empty area around us, so outside of us. It can be outdoors or it can be indoors, but it's outside of us. Outdoors, that external space is the entire atmosphere. Inside of your house or apartment is the space within the walls, but still outside of you. When indoors, I have found it helpful when meditating on space to look ahead at a blank space on like a wall or something like that across the room and just focus on that as opposed to a specific object which can grab your attention very quickly. Then, without moving my eyes, I broaden my view to the entire room or atmosphere. This tends to avoid things like maybe crossing your eyes, other difficulties that interfere with your practice. So you just pick out a space out there somewhere, you focus on that, then open up your eyes without focusing on that, just looking in that direction. Okay. As far out as you can. And if you notice that you're noticing something else, just go back to it, repeat it, do it again, and just abide in that state. So then the second step, so that had two parts to it. So the second step is internal space. So now we're shifting from out there to in here. Is visualization imagining two thin hollow channels, the kati channels that we talked about previously, that connect the eyes and the heart. So this involves directing your attention to your eyes, which are gazing into space. Okay? Connecting the eyes and the heart and directing your attention to your eyes themselves. All right? As you do that, as they gaze out into space. So without creating an object of meditation, just be aware of looking into space and let it be. The third step here is the secret space. In this space is considered to be in your heart. Recall that the heart in Tibetan Buddhist refers to heart-mind. Scientists have discovered that heart actually has its own neuron, its own mind, if you will, yet it has no thoughts associated with that. The true nature of mind is said to reside in the indestructible drop at the heart chakra, heart-mind. This is not your everyday mind, full of thoughts and feelings. That resides in your brain. The third space connects with the heart-mind, the channel connecting with your eyes, and the external space being observed. So there's kind of those three parts to it. And we did, one of our exercises before was doing this practice or similar practice. According to the Tantra, the three phases of liberation by observation, this leads to primordial wisdom, freely arising, non-conceptual awareness alone will appear without being obstructed by any compulsive ideation. So this is practice number 42, advanced shamata, meditative stabilization. So again, it has a beginning part that we go through to set up the stages, prepare. Then the actual practice, meditative stabilization, has two parts. First one is clarity and awareness. So here we focus on the subtle grasping onto awareness itself, awareness of awareness, and then let go and let it be. Repeat it as necessary. When it becomes stable, you can just notice that being there, the awareness of awareness itself. Then we go on to the next stage, which is the threefold space, a different context, but the same practice. So we have outwardly, inwardly, and secret here, as I was mentioning just a bit ago. Outwardly, we focus on empty space in front of us. It can be the empty space in the room, or you go outside, you can do it out there. But it's not a thing, okay? Yeah, there's air there and so forth, but we don't see that air. That's the idea. Inwardly, imagine the empty channel between the eyes and the heart especially your eyes. So you focus mostly on the eyes. And so these are imaginary channels that run down through to your heart. Then secretly focus on the nature of mind in the heart, and then the nature of mind, your eyes, and space together. So here, focus the nature of mind in the heart, and then we bring it up to the nature of mind with your eyes, and then outside space. And then you just abide softly and deeply in non-conceptual awareness. So no thoughts about it at all. If you get a thought, just take a deep breath, let it go, and just refocus your attention. So let it be steady, luminous, and even. And then repeat those as much as you need to. Post-meditation, always end your session slowly. Arise, losing the sense of natural state, pure awareness, without losing the sense of natural state, pure awareness in every activity, day and night. So we're making this a habit, and we make habits by repeating things over and over and over again. So you do it as many times as you can. And we know from research that the number of times one repeats something to create a habit is more effective than how long that you try to do it. So now we move on to the nature of awareness, which is the second category of vipassana. In this case, the central channel only goes up as far as the center of your head or your brain. Attached at that point is the crystal kati channel. And so this is a modification of what we were just talking about, where that channel is focused out here or focused on our eyes. And so the crystal kati channel is different than what we had described before. It's considered to be the channel of primordial wisdom. And in humans, it's normally points forward to a point of between the eyebrows. So basically in between right there. The third eye, if you will. And so in animals and humans with their eyes closed, it points down, according to this process, and is closed off, leading to ignorance. So oftentimes when looking down, our eyes close. And then in bodhisattvas, the channel is open and points up. Now this channel, a little bit like your finger, okay? So finger pointing forward, pointing down, pointing up. And so this channel, which runs up in your skull, behind your actual skull there, so this opens up to the crown now, going up the crown, up here, leading to primordial wisdom and other samadhis, the highest levels of concentration, whether real or imagined. And then by fixing the gaze on space, the channel turns upward, which isolates pure awareness from impure awareness. Next, we examine the nature of our mind, our pure awareness, and then release all thoughts and relax in the direct experience. This is followed by additional exercises more similar to those done in examining self and other. This is repeated as many times as you can. Each time we repeat the experience, we go deeper into that direct experiential understanding of the true nature of mind. Padmasambhava says to do that for one day. Now, he's probably talking about a full day, so it's a little bit different. And so since we're typically not doing it that way, we do it for 1 week or more. 2 sessions a day, morning, evening, typically, or whatever works for you. So The practice here is number 43, the nature of awareness on vipassana, somewhat unusual in terms of Dzogchen. So vipassana, or insight, is the nature of awareness here. And then each step takes some time before you can dig deeply with that. So part 1, we gaze into space in front of you without meditating on anything at all. The crystal kadi channel turns upward, opening the samadhis, the concentration or meditation, and primordial wisdom, and then stably arises. Contemplate the nature of your mind, your awareness, pure awareness, and then release and relax. Part 2 here, again, we gaze into space in front of you. What is this mind that is being placed? So now we're moving into the same kind of questions, well, different, but questions that we looked at when we did Vipassana before. So this particular set is based on that model. Are you who is placing and the object being placed, 1 or 2? If 2, is one roaming in samsara while the other is Buddhahood? If there is but one, what is the reality of this so-called mind? It cannot be found as an external object. So we then continue until we have some sense of certainty about this, the second statement of Garib Dorje, basically. Then part 3, what is this so-called mind like? Observe your very consciousness and search for it. Does it really exist? If so, what shape is it? Can you find one? If there is none, what is the emptiness of shape? An interesting question to have to deal with. Part 4, examine its color, size, and dimension. If there's no color, size, or dimension, is it an emptiness that is nothing? If it is nothing, what is it that thinks? What is it that experiences emotions? If you do not discover what it is like, carefully check whether the consciousness that is examining it is itself the mind. If it is, what is it like? If you cannot find it, what difference is there between you and a corpse? Isn't there something who thinks? Decisively observe how it is. And then part 5, I'm going to kind of stages here in its development. If you cannot find a thing, is there stillness, clarity, emptiness? Stillness is quiescence, not the mind. Seek out awareness. What is its nature? If it is emptiness, what is one aspect? Seek out awareness. If it is still sort of clear but inexpressible, you have identified it to a little bit, so go deeper. Come to certainty in your recognition. So if you do this for like 5-10 minutes, each part, 5 parts, until you are confident, and then the text gives us some hints as well. So the things, if it's not here, it might be this. If it's not there, it might be that, and so forth. It gives you hints about where it's taking you. So then we dedicate, when we're finished, we dedicate the post-meditation, continue to practice at every opportunity throughout the day and night. With dream yoga, still doing that, and then reinforce the direct experience. Continue this practice until you can clearly experience the nature of awareness. Then continue again until you gain confidence in that experience. So a level of certainty as a part of that, pure awareness, or Rigpa. So next we're going to identifying awareness. This step continues our examination of pure awareness, pushing us ever closer to realization as we gaze into space. We examine the nature of our awareness itself and the difference between that and everyday mind. We experience pure awareness more clearly and solidify our confidence in it. So the last one, number 43 and 44, can be done in sequence together as well. So identifying awareness here. So again, we would do the practice and so forth, but you don't need to repeat that if you're combining the two sets together. Part 1, gaze into space in front of you. Experience that nature in your mind clearly and without wavering. Do you experience steadiness in awareness? Do you experience a steady natural luster natural luster of emptiness that is not nothing, that is awareness itself, the nature of mind? Do appearances and mind merge inseparably so that awareness is not inside and appearances outside? Do they join together? Part 2, once again, experience the nature of your mind, pure awareness or Rigpa itself, and then stillness is not by itself the nature of mind. Is there an empty essence without substance, shape, or color? Is there clear, soothing, luminous nature? Luminous nature is unconditioned, luminous nature of your mind, pristine clarity, and so forth, the very nature of your mind. So then we go on, is it ineffable beyond words that describe or explain it? And then part 3, repeat these steps until you gain confidence in the direct experience of the nature of your mind, which is pure awareness. And then there's a short dedication, post-meditation, continue to practice at every opportunity throughout the day and night, and then with dream yoga at night. To reinforce the direct experience, continue this practice until you can clearly experience the nature of awareness, and then continue again until you gain confidence in that experience. Okay? Remember before I did the hands? Okay? So right hand, left hand, the ability to be aware, the object, and it can't have just one. You can only do that if you have both. If you have an object, but you have no awareness of the object, it's like it's not there. If you have the ability to be aware and there's nothing to be aware of, you also can't recognize it. It's like nothingness. Okay, so you have to have both of those. And so recognizing that there is the object, whatever that happens to be, it can be in your mind, as well as then the awareness of that is a very important principle to understand. According to Padmasambhava, this present unmoving consciousness, which cannot be directly expressed in words, is given the name awareness. That which thinks is this alone, so it is given the name mind. It is this that is mindful of all kinds of things, so it is given the name mindfulness. While it is not seen, it is special seeing that is clear, steady, unmeditated, and steadfast, so it is given the name insight. It is that which makes distinctions among all specific phenomena, like separating the layers of an onion, so to speak, so that it is given the name discerning wisdom. We go through these different layers of understanding the meaning in that context. There are many names given to realization, pure awareness, such as Cittagarbha, primordial wisdom, Mahamudra, Ati Yoga, emptiness, suchness, and so forth. While well intended, these names cause confusion or lead to subtle form of attachment, thinking this is it. Do not think that at all. Just experience it. Let go, let be as it is. It is just this clear, steady consciousness that is ordinarily, naturally present right now. So practice in this way always to attain certainty. Visualize in this way. Recite mantras and prayers in this way. Wash dishes in this way. Read in this way. Drive your car carefully in this way. Go to the bathroom in this way. Make love in this way. So once one has become a Buddha, whence arises the primordial wisdom of knowledge, the compassion of mercy, and the enlightened activity of deeds. All those are experienced and created solely by this steadfast awareness. And that is inseparable clarity, awareness, and emptiness. So this is our Buddha nature. We already have it. We are already Buddhas. We just have to identify it and gain confidence in it so that we are mindful of it at all times in our lives, in meditation and non-meditation. So continuously, that's the idea, is to get to that state. So next in this list, number 3 is one taste. Having reached confidence in the advanced shamata and vipassana separately, you continue those practice by alternating between them and a single session. Alternating brings them together experientially as one taste. That's what this one's about. Begin with advanced shamatha for a few minutes and then do advanced vipassana for a few minutes. Repeat this as many times as you can in one session. Then during the day, seek opportunities to recognize this awareness of the nature of mind as long as you can. At the same time, keep in mind the advice of Pema Karpo, quoted earlier, recognizing thinking within stillness and seizing the natural seed of stillness within the occurrence of thoughts is therefore called intermingling stillness and occurrence, and hence is also called the recognition of one-pointedness. You transcend the ideas of thoughts or no thoughts, awareness or emptiness. Just let go and let be. So now we're going to Rigpa Guru Yoga. So once you have the direct experience of one taste, you continue to Garib Dorje's third statement, obtaining the view until fully awakened. The best practice is the most excellent practice, the familiar practice of Guru Yoga. In this case, I have included a very concise version called Rigpa Guru Yoga. There is no visualization. You simply recite a few short lines, the mantra, and abide within Rigpa, pure awareness, awareness of awareness, metacognition, and so forth. So here, the description of the practice, number 45, is, again, we begin as before, but add the 7-line prayer as a part of this compared to other Guru Yoga practices that we have done. So we begin here. It goes through, Rigpa Guru Pamagyalpo, I take refuge in the self-recognizing of the nature of my mind. Because of the ignorant sentient beings are wandering in samsara, may all sentient beings reach the great liberation, and so forth. So rather than go through and read this entirely, what I'm going to do is read through it with commentary. Okay, we'll combine those two together here. So again, that first verse is kind of the refuge in bodhicitta, if you will, but only recited one time. So, Rigpa Pamagyalpo. So this is a transcendent form of Padmasambhava. I take refuge in the self-recognizing nature of my mind, Rigpa. Because of their ignorance, sentient beings are wandering in samsara. May all sentient beings reach the great liberation. By recognizing their nature as the primordial awareness, this is the pure awareness without thoughts of Samattabhadra, which is Dharmakaya, all demons and malicious forces, active emotions, mental obscurations, even their concepts and names fall apart like in a dream. And then the nature of all phenomena is Dharmadhatu, the sphere of the absolute, and the unchanging self-arising wisdom. In Vajrayana philosophical views, the principles of impermanence, interdependence, and unconditioned are ultimately considered to be transcended, is your only protection. So then jnana, which is wisdom, racha, which is protection, and hong, unchanging essence. Phenomena perceived through the 6 kinds of consciousness. It's the 5 senses and the mind consciousness. Without attachment are recognized as the rays of Rigpa. So these are the dynamic radiant display of the world, if you will. All surroundings appear as Buddha fields and sentient beings as Buddhas. Everything is the blessing of wisdom. And this is pure view. All beings as Buddhas, all sounds as mantras, and all thoughts as wisdom. And then the mantra, Jnana Aveshaya Pam. So may pure view, wisdom, come in my mind. The primordial self-arising ultimate Padmasambhava, referring to Buddha nature here, the ultimate Padmasambhava is Buddha nature, appears as my Rigpa space, Dharmadhatu, the ultimate realm of truth. There is no face, no limbs, no image. Primordial rays of Rigpa fully encompass the 3 kayas. So those are Nirmanakaya, the physical form, Sambhogakaya, the enlightened, celestial, or visualized form, and Dharmakaya, the truth body, or insight into the transcendent nature of all beings and things. Without the impurity, imperfection, coming from discursive, that is cognitive, meditation, transcends words, labels, and concepts. Primordial nature of my Rigpa, pure awareness, is my real guru, pure awareness or Buddha nature. There is no coming and going, permanent state of pure awareness. In every moment I welcome his presence, his heart-mind. Everything firmly abides in Dharmadhatu, the sphere of absolute reality. I prostrate to the understanding of the real nature, Rigpa, or pure awareness, that eliminates ignorance. I offer recognition of the Buddha nature, Rigpa, or pure awareness, in objects of the 6 kinds of consciousness, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, body, mind. I praise the nature of the Vajra indestructible. 3 kayas of the body, speech, and mind. The 3 kayas, Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, Dharmakaya. In the great unchanging Dharmadhatu, the sphere of absolute reality. All moral ethics are encompassed in the pure Guru mind. They are pure beyond rules. I recognize the deepest empty nature, Rigpa, of all sounds and speech. In all my activity, I recognize its Dharmadhatu nature, the empty awareness, and recite the mantra. Om, referring to the body, the speech, Hong, the mind, Benza, Vajra, indestructible, Guru, the teacher, Padma, lotus, Siddhi, accomplishments, and Hong, invocation. So that is the mantra. Om Ahum Binsa Guru Pema Siddhi Hom. So recite the mantra of Guru Rinpoche typically 108 times or however many you can, and rest in the pure awareness as long as you can. The dedication here with all the good virtue, referring to merit and wisdom, I have accumulated in samsara, the karma of this life, and nirvana, liberation from all sufferings, literally a snuffing out, the Buddha compared to snuffing out a candle, of all karma previously accumulated. I pray that discursive thought, ordinary thoughts, of the sentient beings would be eliminated, especially things related to ignorance, that they would achieve the ultimate liberation, that is full awakening or Buddhahood, and obtain the rainbow body, the transcendent body, just like Rigpa Guru Pamasambhava's. So it also infers joining him in his copper-colored mountain Pure Land, or Buddha field. So then we continue this practice as your main Trekcho practice. You may substitute it into daily Nundro practice, as was done here, although I recommend continuing to recite the seven-line prayer at least once or 3 times prior to doing the Rigpa Guru Yoga. But during the actual meditation, follow the advice of the great yogi master Tilopa, who described in the root scripture on mingling, don't reflect, don't imagine, and don't evaluate. Don't meditate, don't think. Just rest in naturalness. Good advice. Similarly, keep in mind these thoughts from His Eminence Khenchen Rinpoche. The goal is not to have no thoughts, but for thoughts to arise and yet be rendered powerless. You must habituate this. You make this a habit. And then later, when negative thoughts and emotions arise, you will not fall under their power. You don't get wrapped up or directed in a different way. Sometimes in meditation, there will be a time when there are actually no thoughts. In that instant, you will know that this is the true nature of your mind, the mind that abides like space, vivid and empty, open, not grasping at anything. This alert awareness must be upheld throughout all activities. Do not try to stop thoughts, just relax into the nature of awareness. Whenever you meditate, our minds will be together. And if you don't understand this, you will not feel tired of meditation. Or if you understand this, you will not feel tired of meditation. It becomes natural. It's just the way that you view the world. So that's number 3, part 3. So now we move on to part 4 here, the idea of non-meditation. So this is that once you mastered the stage 3 in Garib Dorje's 3 statements, abiding in the view until fully awakened, you are a Buddha and there's no longer a need for meditation. The Buddha himself, though, referred to this with an analogy of crossing the river with a raft. Once we reach the other side, liberation, there's no need to be carrying the raft around. However, the Buddha continued mindfulness and mental calm practice and recommended the same for his highly accomplished arhats. So we've got these kind of conflicting views, if you will, as a part of that. But I think, certainly for me, can't say that I'm at that ultimate stage, but it helps to continue the practice. Okay? Otherwise, it's easy to begin falling out of the practice. So we have to be very careful about that. So until you are fully enlightened, you will continue to follow Garib Dorje's third statement, abiding in the view until fully awakened with daily Rigpa Guru Yoga. This is the stage of the practice that's better described as everything is meditation rather than non-meditation. His Holiness the Dalai Lama describes it this way. In the path of great perfection, while thoughts are active, Rigpa permeates them all, so that even in the very moment when powerful thoughts like attachment and aversion are arising, there remains a pervasive quality of clear light Rigpa. So he kind of puts clear light and Rigpa together as a phrase. It's very common for him. Dodrupa Chen says, in the path of great perfection, there is the clear light's natural way of being is like the sun and its rays, inseparable. If you are able through this to bring out the radiance of genuine mind, you will be able to maintain the experience of the clear light in meditation without it fluctuating or coming and going. The idea is to embody the view throughout your life, day and night. Everything is an opportunity to practice mindfulness of pure awareness, as well as loving kindness and compassion. In the beginning, we need frequent reminders, but with patience and persistence, particularly joyous effort, we begin to habituate our mind to a steady pattern of behavior leading to liberation. So that's what practice becomes. Each and every action reinforces our neutral network in the brain as well as our mind, opening it to reveal its true nature of awareness emptiness. As you abide softly in the pure awareness of the transcendent wisdom and the sacred outlook of pure view, you are very relaxed and very aware. There is a deep inner peace of innate happiness. No effort is required to maintain a state of focus. Thoughts that arise are recognized as the manifestation of the nature of mind. They come and they go. Let go and let be. Feelings that arise also come and go without effort and without any attachment to them. No good, no bad, mere labels, conceptualizations, but I always like to make a note there because that can be a little distracting. Padmasambhava once said, "My view is vast as space, my actions are as fine as barley flour." I think that's important for us to keep in mind, the relative and the ultimate aspects. They are no longer matter, though we remain fully aware of their presence when they do occur. Let go and let be. There is nothing more to do. Abiding softly is the practice. All concepts just seem not to matter. Even as conceptual thoughts and concepts still manifest within our experience. I want to say, how delightful. But even that thought seems irrelevant. So, as we advance in this practice, we gain confidence in our view and become unshakable from causes and conditions that may otherwise affect us. At the same time, our loving kindness and compassion are our pure view, and our pure view have grown strong as well. We treat others with dignity and respect, whether they are our friends or our enemies. Or, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama is fond of saying, each time I meet someone, it is like we are old friends. The meditative state is carried forward into our daily activities. We express our truth through our actions to benefit all others and all times and in all ways. At the most advanced level, everything is meditation. There is no need to separate meditative practice, although we continue to do so. To reinforce our understanding and experience, we abide softly and deeply in our Buddha nature. It has become strong and pervasive in all that we think and say and do. I also suggest doing a Google search for a short text from His Holiness Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche called Dzogchen Practice in Everyday Life. So you can do that. We don't have time to recite that today, but you can find that and download it. It's easily available on the internet. Mastery, of course, requires considerable hours, days, and even years of focused practice, but it can be very rewarding. So I encourage you and give you all of my best wishes for you to be able to attain that. So we have 4 more classes left until the end of the course. So we'll be ending on July 12th, assuming everything works out for the next 4 weeks. And so let me know again if you have any questions. Abide softly and deeply with pure awareness, loving kindness, and compassion for all beings, always and always. And more than ever, practice peace or pray for peace.